short. And I'll move on to our next speaker. So I'm joined today by Suzanne van den Eykel from the National Archives of the Netherlands. Is Lotte in the room as well? Or
not yet. I think she will join in like 10 minutes.
Okay, fine. And Francesca Mackenzie as well. So you are part of the team which brought us the study group Bits and Bots. So we're really grateful that you can join today to tell us more about Bits and Bots, the study group, which was developed to teach digital archivists coding skills. And I think last time we met, you were focusing on Python and front end development, but perhaps you've moved on to other things. And I know that the group is open to all and everyone, and we've helped you kind of advertise that a bit as well. So tell us more. Shall I hand straight over to you, Suzanne, to start things off?
Yeah, I'm already start sharing my screen. I think it's in presentation mode now. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for this introduction, Sarah. And also thank you, of course, to the DPC for the opportunity to present again on the Bits and Bots study group. We're really grateful to do so and really enthusiastic as well. So I will tell you more about Bits and Bots. On this first slide here, you see our logo, because with a study group, when you start one, you of course need an official logo. So we have chosen the Space Invader, and why I will tell you in a minute. But with every meeting from our study group, we introduced some AI art to our members. Lotte made them mostly, and this is the first one that we showed during our kickoff last year. To really show how we are focusing on the GLAM community, so library, archive, people, and really get that vibe going. But who are we? Let's start at the beginning. Well, actually, this is not the beginning, of course, but it was the beginning for us for a lot of attention for the study group, even more attention than we already had. And I really wanted to incorporate this picture because I know Lotte will join in a minute, but just so you know, who are we? So you've seen me now, of course. Francesca briefly, but I think she turned her camera off already, but she's the one in the bright red turtleneck here. And in the middle is Lotte Wijsman, also from the National Archives. And the three of us are the main people behind Bits and Bots. We started this study group, and we started this because we wanted to develop digital skills, but we thought, like, why do that with the three of us when we can maybe help other people as well? So it started as quite of a hobby project, and that really derailed a bit, so to speak. So why a study group? Well, the three of us talked with each other, and actually, to be fair, Francesca and I didn't met in person until the award night. Before that, we only collaborated online. Because our linking pin was Lotte. Lotte knew Francesca from an earlier edition of iPress, and I knew Lotte from events of the Dutch Digital Heritage Network, because I was formerly employed at the National Library of the Netherlands. And for myself, I'm educated in medieval history. I do not really have the digital know-how, the digital skills to do my work properly. And with a lot of people from my generation, everybody thinks, well, you know everything about digital things. Well, no, we don't actually, and we need to be more comfortable with digital skills as well. So we thought, like, in our day-to-day work, we see a lot of skills that we need, but we need to do it ourselves. We need to learn the basics ourselves. So Lotte spoke with me, and she spoke with Francesca, and we were like, hey, maybe we should start a study group, because we felt that we had a lack of knowledge and also a lack of time actually to do this next to our day-to-day work. And it is, well, even though if you like something, I mean, you can do it in your free time, of course, but you only have so much time. And what we missed was the human interaction. I mean, if there's something wrong in your code, you can always Google it, of course, or use ChatGPT. But it's nicer to have other people to talk to and, discuss your code with and get new creative ideas to, really take it a step further. So we decided on a study group and learned the basics in a group, and really focused on the basics. So not really to become IT experts, but to be able to talk with the IT people at our job and understand what they're talking about when they talking about things they put on GitHub and how the code looks like, and we're like, huh, what is this? And now we're like, oh yeah, I can understand it now. I can read the code, so that's better. But it was not like that we want to take over their jobs or something. But we felt, next to working in a group, another thing for motivation was needed, hence the Space Invader, because we learn by creating games. So that's really our unique selling point for this study group. We wanted to develop our own games to learn the basics of coding. So we decided on two modules, indeed Python, and we first said HTML, but it has to be broader than that. So it's now front-end development to be official. And we decided to make our own guides to create a most structured approach for people that are joining us, so that we really can help them, well, divide the workload and not have everything at once. Because for when you're learning programming language, you really need to have dedicated time per week. I mean, if you learn Python, you can do that with just 30 minutes a week. You really need a lot of time to really understand it. And it's like learning a new language. You need to learn the words first before you can make sentences. And that's the same for Python, for example, as well. If you do not know what a function is and how it works or what is a variable, you cannot really write a script. And that's also where we saw the differences between Python and front-end development, because with HTML and with CSS, I mean, that can be daunting as well, but you can see the result very quickly. And with Python, it's a big job to start coding from scratch. So it's really learning the basics, steal things from other, and adapt your code to really get the basics, to get that going. So we focused on an amazing book from Al Swigert. He had actually made two books, Automate the Boring Stuff and Invent Your Own Computer Games with Python. So that was really our go-to for the Python track. And we added as lot of extra materials as we could, and really try to adapt the games that were made in those books to make it more digital preservation themed. And in the front-end development track, we really urge people to make their own projects, to have their own stories, their own websites, and turn that into games. So there's a bit of a difference there. But yeah, that's just how it went. And these were the two programming things that we both, or the three of us, knew most about, even though we were not expert yet. I still want to claim that we're an expert now in Python or front-end development. But that was also what we told everybody who joined us, like, okay, we're learning with you. It's not that we tell you what to do. And sometimes it felt like we're just ready with module 4, and then the group was in module 3, so that we were one module ahead. Sometimes it really felt like that, and sometimes it still does, actually. So we decided to divide it over a year. So this was our planning. And what we really wanted to do was include a summer break, because we already knew, okay, if you have to do this next to your day-to-day job, it will be tough, and you will need time to catch up and just go on a holiday and have a break. But we wanted to do a module every month and also have a monthly meeting. So we try to have 2 monthly meetings per month, which were the same, but to have different dates and times to adapt us to as many time zones as possible. And every meeting, we also wanted to try to have an expert session, because we felt like, okay, it should be more than just Python and front-end development, but it's a study group for digital skills, obviously. So we incorporated expert sessions as well. So we found some lovely people who could help us, and that's where the AI art comes again. So this was obviously the one for the 3D box in HTML. This was an expert session that was called What's in the Box. And that really showed us like how you can steal code from someone else and adapt it to your own needs. But we also had one to analyze your Twitter archive with just 4 lines of Python, just to show people like you do not really need to know a lot to already do cool things with your new coding skills. And also, because we were creating games, we also wanted to do an expert session on UX design to really have the user needs and the user interface, that it will be as pleasing to your users as possible. So how can you test with that? How can you involve your future users with your projects and your games that you want to create? We also had a expert session on the command prompt in Windows, really to show and tell, like okay, if you do it wrong, you can definitely can break things, but if you just use the commands in the way they should be used, you can easily rename files or relocate them. So we added another guide on how to do that so that people really could try it in their own time as well, and not only during this expert session. And the same applies actually for GitHub, because a lot of people share coding and documentation on GitHub. But if you do not know what a pull request is, or what branches are, or what merging is, it can be quite daunting to start your GitHub account and really use it. So that's why we started a GitHub repository for bits and bots as well, and really try to encourage members to set up account as well and to add things and games to our repository. And last but not least, we also had an introduction to APIs, and this was one of the sessions that was very handy for ourselves as well, because I learned a lot about APIs for social media archiving. But I was like, what is it exactly? How does it work? And that's one of the things that was very helpful for myself as well. But also we tried really to ask our members, like, okay, if you have suggestions or you want a specific topic covered, please tell us, and really adapt it to their needs as well. And then we try to find the experts with that. And that's how we came with these expert sessions. So I show here the map of the world, and I recognize that not all the orange dots are in the correct place, but it's just to show you that where all our members came from. So we had, in the end, 47 members from 5 continents, and we're really proud of that. Which was also a bit difficult sometimes to adapt to the correct time zones, of course, and get everybody together. But we tried as best as we could, and we also tried to communicate with everybody as best as we could, and we did that by using Discord. So that's what we see here. For those who do not know Discord, Discord is like a Slack channel. So you can have different channels, and for example, here we see of course, our own bits and bots server with different channels for welcome, for notification. So for what is the study group about, where can you find the guides, or if a session was cancelled, for example. But also we divided the members in different groups for the track that they were following. So we had a channel for the Python games and one from the web games. And I see now that you can still see the test channel and the admin chisel. That was, of course, for the 3 of us to test some things. And sometimes we needed to have a chat with the 3 of us as well. So that was in the closed channels. But what's really beautiful about Discord as well is that you have voice channels. So it's possible to have a quick call with somebody without setting up a meeting or something. But if you see someone is online and you have a quick question, you just could start a voice channel and ask your question really quick. And that is something that we see here as well in the chat function in the channel, that somebody is showing their code. So you see with the bit like the yellow background is the book that she's using, and in white with the green letters it's her own code, and something is not working. So she is asking to other people like, help, what did I do wrong? And you really see here the interaction between members, which we really wanted. So they're really helping each other out, which was great. And it is something that we saw was very useful. But also a lot of people didn't know Discord, so they were a bit reluctant to use it in the first place. And also because we also added all our events there, so all our meetings were found in Discord, but you had to add them to your own calendar, and that sometimes didn't really work, or then the Teams link was broken. So then 5 minutes beforehand, we had to email some people still like, hey, we're meeting, remember? But we learned while we're progressed. So this is a screenshot that I also wanted to show you of our Bits and Bots repository. So you see here the different folders for the expert sessions and the games that we've created, because we actually had a secondary aim with our study group. We wanted to have a library of games that would advocate for the profession as well, which worked out pretty well because we have the games here. So these are the first games that have been made for the study group. And for example, the Preservation Python game is one that was showed in the games room during iPress last year as well. It's an amazing game. Everyone should try it. But also some front-end development games. And if you look closely, you see like medieval action. Okay, that was not really a digital preservation themed game. But we also wanted people to enjoy themselves and get comfortable to create games. So we allowed it. Then I wanted to show you something of like the back end of the game. So for example, this is a part of the code for Hangman in Python. I couldn't put everything on the slide because it's too long. But this specific part is a function that asks the player to guess a letter. The player has to give input, and if it's more than one letter, the computer has to say, no, that's not correct. You have to do one letter. But also, if it's already guessed, they should choose again, or if it's the correct letter, it should display that on the screen as well. So here you see how difficult Python can be, because you really have to do to tell the computer exactly what it has to do. So if something is true, you have to show this. If the input is wrong, you have to tell the person, no, this input is wrong. So it's really very literal what you have to do with Python. And that makes it very easy to get bugs, and then the code will just stop running because your computer just does not know what to do anymore. So you have to be very precise in your coding. Something completely different is Twine. This is what we used for the HTML track, or the front-end development track. And here we see the back end of Twine, of a game called File Format Fling, which was made by Lotte, Francesca, and I, and Ellie, who's here as well from the DPC, and Sharon. We worked on this game during the workshop on iPress. And Twine is a storytelling game, so it's very narrative. And every passage that you see, so every like little bracket, not little bracket, little square is a passage in your game. So that's a window on your screen. And here you can see with all the lines that you have a lot of options as a player to get further in the game. And this was actually a dating simulator game where you can date your preferred file format. So as a player, you will enter a dating quiz. And for example, the squares in red and orange show you the part of the quiz. So red are the questions and orange are the answers that you can give. So there were 6 options. And every option you choose will decide how your ending will be. So you can see that there is a lot of interaction in this game possible. And the beauty of this is that you can use as a lot of CSS and as a lot of images or sound as you want. So you can make it really more bright and more interactive. And just to have a little close-up, this is how it looks. This is the start as well. So the orange arrow here goes to the title screen. And if you show the front end, it will actually look like this. So you see a whole different thing, but it's still the same game, but it's the front end. So you see here the background with the flowers. So we have used an image. We have used a font for the text. We have used buttons. So these start and profiles and achievements are all the links in text that you can click on and go to a next screen. So a next little square in the view that you saw before. So that's really how Twine works, but where you can also just show off all your skills that you've learned with CSS or with HTML. So you can really do cool things with that. But back to our study group. So we learned quite a lot actually while doing this. Not only that we learned more in Python or in front-end development ourselves, but also how to organize and facilitate a study group like this. And this is some of the feedback we got back from the first group. They said that the modules were very, very clear and the expert sessions were really, really helpful. And they really saw that we were very dedicated to this study group. So we, as in Lotte, Francesca, and I, and they really appreciate that very much. And that they also knew from us that we had to do a lot of things in our own time. So they really saw that and appreciated that. So we appreciated that we're in return, of course. They liked how many extra options there were, that they could learn as much as they want. They could just stick with the modules, but we gave a lot of further learning materials as well. And they really liked the flexibility there. But we also saw that there were some downsides. So one of the things is that some people were still in module 3 or 4, while others were already in module 6. So it was really hard to ask help via Discord, for example. People really saw like, okay, it's difficult if there's a gap, and everybody should learn in their own pace, of course. But if you want to have really that interaction with people, how further along we got with the modules, how more difficult that became. So that is something that we've learned and we want to adapt for the next group. And also they said more links with practice would be helpful, because it's really cool to make a funny game, but how can I really use this in practice? How can I really use it for my day-to-day work? So some people were quite skilled enough to do that on their own, but others just needed a bit more help with that. So that's something that we've heard and that we want to incorporate in the next group. I also wanted to share some experience from the members with you. So one of them said that I can read and understand R scripts from data analysts better. So that's one of the things that we hope we would achieve, that people understand coding better and could read scripts from others. So that works apparently. Somebody also said, because of my increased knowledge of HTML, I can better understand how a website, and especially an archive website, works, and how the structure is. So that really helps for website preservation. And one of them said the curriculum has helped me to optimize my pre-ingest workflows. And that was something that we were like, okay, cool, but how did you do that? And that is actually a person that we asked to do an expert session for next group as well, like show and tell, how did you do this? So who knows what the next coming months will bring. I gave it away already a bit, so we'll continue for next year. We will have more balanced, I say next year, but it's actually this year. We will have more balanced modules, more tailored to people's needs. We will have 2 recess periods for people to catch up, one during the summer and one as a longer Christmas break. And we want to incorporate as many assignments as we can that are tailored to the daily work of people. And we hope to return some favorite expert sessions, but also to incorporate some new. We will have 7 modules for the next group, so also 7 expert sessions would be great. And we will start April 1st, but before that we will have 2 more kickoff meetings. They will be held in March, and the registration is still open. So if anyone wants to join, we will share a link if it's not already shared in the chat. If Lotte is there, she will do it. Otherwise, I will do it later. But you can still register for this, and then we will tell more in detail what we have done for the new program and what is expected of you. So yeah, because of winning this award, we saw a growing interest of people that wanted to join us. Even when we were only nominated, we already saw emails coming in like, "Hey, can I still join?" But at that point, I think we were during the summer break, so almost halfway through the program. But now there were people who finished Python or finished HTML and said like, "Hey, I want to rejoin and I want to do the other learning path." But there were also people who said, "Yeah, I got a bit behind. I want to try again. Can I please rejoin you?" So there was a lot of people that were really interested to join again or join at all. So we were like, okay, we cannot stop this now anymore. We have to continue. And I don't know what kind of box of Pandora we have opened, but we already have, I think, 100 registrations for the next group. So it's a lot, but we love it. So if you really want to join us, please do, because there's still space. And I think these are all my slides. So I will stop sharing my screen now. And I saw that Lotte was there as well, and Francesca typing away. So if you have any more questions or if I missed anything, then Lotte and Francesca can add. Thank you.
Can I just jump in and ask, is there an upper limit? Is there on how many people can participate, or is it just as many as you can fit in a virtual room?
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, not to us. I mean, if we'll break teams, then yeah, that's it.
Try something else.
Yeah. Then we'll find something else. Yeah. No, we do not have a limit. No, not at all.
Excellent.
And also,
Lotte,
maybe
did you want to come in?
Yeah,
Sorry.
maybe it's nice to say that the kickoff meetings are not, so you can just come to the kickoff meeting and decide there, oh, it's not for me. So people are not stuck with us if they fill in the kickoff, if they fill up the form. They can always say like, oh, this is too much work, or maybe next year, something like that. They're not stuck with us if they fill it in. They don't have to sign in blood or anything.
Also, if you can't make the kickoff meetings, like, let us know anyway. It's not compulsory to join the kickoff meetings to take part in the course, because I think I'm busy for one of them, so I don't feel like everyone else should be as well.
Great stuff. Well, thank you all three very much for talking to us about that again.